It is often thought that the gold standard favors rich people and creditors over debtors. However, you've said that the gold standard is the people's money. What do you mean by that?
The gold standard is the people's money primarily because 95% of Americans earn their living by labor, wages, salaries, which they intend to save for special purposes, like retirement or education for their children, not to mention the day-to-day provisions for good times and hard times. The gold standard, that is to say, a dollar as good as gold, a dollar defined as a weight unit of gold, which has a stable purchasing power over the long run, is the people's money because the people count on a moral money. People count on a trustworthy money. The American people count on a money which has a trustworthy purchasing power in the long-term future for which they're trying to provide. Now, as to whether or not it favors debtors or creditors, rich people or poor people, it does neither. It certainly does not favor rich people. Today, most of the very, very rich that we read about are nimble speculators on Wall Street who depend upon the volatility of the dollar, the rise and fall of the dollar, and the volatility in speculative stock markets and bond markets, speculative commodity markets. These are the men and the women who profit from an unstable dollar. Indeed, a dollar which is characterized by volatility, neither by inflation nor deflation in the short run. It just doubts about the value of the dollar. So if we really want to protect people on Main Street, so to speak, or just in every walk of life who don't spend their time preparing for speculations on Wall Street at 9:30 in the morning, we need a dollar as good as gold. We need a stable dollar. There is no question in my mind that the balance of power shifts to insiders, bankers, speculators, and those who have an inside track to the Federal Reserve System, and an inside track to the way in which money is created at the banks and the way it is distributed generally to a privileged insider class, especially when times are tough. Most small businesses today make the very point that they can't borrow at the bank. Well, that's not true of the big companies or the big speculators or the big brokers or the big bankers. They are not only subsidized by the Federal Reserve, but they have the first access to borrowing. Stabilize the dollar, make it as good as gold, and we will rule out this tremendous advantage which has been given to the speculator and banker class in America.